The cold African wind swept across the fields as the first rays of sunlight touched the rolling hills surrounding Ndlovu village. In the middle of the valley stood a thriving farm owned by a hard-working man named Themba. For many years, Themba had poured his heart into the land. His cattle grazed peacefully in green pastures. Goats wandered along the hillsides, and rows of golden maize stretched as far as the eye could see. The farm was not only his source of income, it was his pride, his dream, and the legacy he hoped to leave for his children. One evening, after a long day of work, Themba secured the gates, fed the animals, and headed home. The stars filled the African sky, and the village settled into silence. But while everyone slept, shadows moved across the farm. A gang of thieves had been watching the property for weeks. Under the cover of darkness, they cut through the fence and began stealing everything they could. They drove away with cattle and goats, loaded farming tools into trucks, and took bags of harvested maize stored in a shed. By dawn, the farm looked almost empty. Themba arrived early that morning, humming a song as he walked toward the fields. His smile vanished when he noticed the broken fence. His heart pounded. He ran toward the cattle enclosure. It was empty. He rushed to the storage shed. The tools were gone. The maize was gone. Everything was gone. Themba fell to his knees in disbelief. Years of hard work seemed to have disappeared in a single night. Soon the villagers gathered around him. "I'm sorry, Themba," one neighbor said. "Those thieves are probably far away by now," another added. For a moment, despair filled his heart. He wanted to quit. He wanted to believe that all hope was lost, but deep inside, a small voice told him not to give up. Themba stood up and wiped away his tears. "No," he said quietly. "I will fight for what is mine." He reported the crime to the authorities and worked closely with community leaders. Every day he followed new leads. Every day he prayed for strength, and every day he continued working the small piece of land that remained. Weeks passed. Many people would have given up, but Themba refused. Then one afternoon, as he repaired a fence, a police vehicle pulled into his yard. The officer stepped out with a smile. "Mr. Themba," he said, "I think we found something that belongs to you." Themba's heart raced. The police had intercepted a group of criminals in a nearby province. They had recovered livestock matching the descriptions of his missing animals. The next day, Themba traveled to the holding area. As he approached the enclosure, his eyes widened. There they were. His cattle, his goats, the same animals he had raised from birth. Some still carried the identification, marks he had carefully placed on them years earlier. Tears filled his eyes. Not long afterward, police raids uncovered warehouses containing stolen farming equipment and bags of maize. Piece by piece, much of what had been taken was returned. The thieves were arrested and brought to justice. When Themba finally walked through his restored farm, surrounded once again by the sounds of cattle and the sight of green fields, he felt overwhelming gratitude. The villagers gathered to celebrate. An elderly man stood and addressed the crowd. "Themba teaches us an important lesson," he said. When everything was taken from him, he refused to surrender. His faith was stronger than his fear. Themba looked across the fields glowing beneath the setting African sun. He smiled. "The thieves stole my possessions," he said, "but they could never steal my determination. That is what brought everything back." And from that day on, whenever people in Ndlovu village faced difficult times, they remembered the story of the farmer who lost everything and got it back because he never stopped being